here today for a very difficult but a very loving task. We will be performing the funeral and burial of Barrie Wiseman. Death has taken our beloved Barrie. We grieve in our darkened world. In our silence there's lamentation. In our tears there's loneliness. For those of us lost in sorrow, may we find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, be with them. For Barrie's love that united us in life, and which death cannot end. For his companionship that we shared along life's path, and which continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of his heart and mind that brought us joy and happiness, and is now a precious remembrance. For all these and more, we give thanks. In this time, we listen to the voice of our sacred scriptures. It tells of our kinship with the Creator, in light as in darkness, in joy as in sorrow, in life as in death. I want to read a psalm that I find fitting. Adonai, who may abide in your house, who may dwell in your holy mountain? Those who are upright, who do justly, who speak the truth within their hearts, who do not slander others or wrong them or bring shame upon them, who scorn the lawless but honor those who revere God, who give their word and come what may do not retract, who do not exploit others, who do not take bribes. Those who live in this way shall never be shaken. I'm also going to read Psalm 23, which isn't just a psalm. Well, we say it at funerals and it's very common. It's also a psalm of life, and it should be a psalm of comfort. God is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters, and restores my soul. You, God, lead me in right paths for the sake of your name. Even when I walk in the valley of shadows, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff comfort me. You've set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You've anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of God forever. There's a poem by Alvin Fine, and Barrie's life had a lot to celebrate, had a lot that was very difficult, but I thought this poem, it spoke to me when I think of Barrie. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, but life is a journey, a going, a growing from stage to stage, from childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength or strength to weakness, and often back again, from health to sickness and back we pray to health again, from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, and grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, but life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage made stage by stage, from birth to death, l'chaye olam haba, to life everlasting. It is it's a true tribute to speak words of Barrie's life, and Brian will begin by reading a eulogy.
I'm going to read this because I had great difficulty last night and this morning putting it together. It's our Uncle Barrie, a generous man, a gentleman, a kind man with a big heart. Barrie was born on June 12th, 1933. He passed June 23rd, 2021. Celebrated 88 years of life just 12 days ago. He was married to Maureen for 58 years. For the past 40 years, they resided at number 1323 Jack Donner Drive. Family came first. Whenever Maureen left the house, he made sure she had money in her pocket. Taking care of her was number one. At times, living beyond his means, he took care of her. Regular conversation included his daughter, Rochelle. He looked forward to any and every family function. The company, the food, and the celebrations are what he lived for. His neighbors became their lifelong friends. Some of them are still living there. I visited with them this morning. When we took Maureen and Barrie to the Simpkins Centre separately, the neighbors cried as they left. Barrie often referred to his friends, remembering names, children's names, and occasions that he attended. His memory was incredible. Barrie and Maureen both dedicated their lives to community and charity. He gave of his time and rarely turned away the opportunity to donate to every cause that he and they believed in. In recent years, his recall of memorabilia, collectibles, and souvenirs was amazing to me. His memory was frightening. If someone did something for him, he never forgot. He felt obligated to pay back and to pay forward. Can I give you some money for your time or your gas? So often he would say that to me, and I would hear him say it to others. He would give what he did not have. To him, it was the right thing to do. Just 4 weeks ago, his grandchildren reached out to me with a question for a school project. When I asked him what his hobbies were, he said, collecting things. They collected everything, whether it was garage sales, yard sales, flea markets. He collected vintage stuff that you cannot imagine. Over the past year, Faye, Darcy, and Alex and I had the privilege to help them empty their collection of 40 years. And yes, it was a collection. The one stipulation was that nothing be thrown away. I'm happy to say that most everything was donated to charities, friends, and family. This was in keeping with who Barrie Wiseman was. A kind man, a generous man, a gentleman with a big heart. He only wanted to do nice things for other people. A huge thank you to you, Stephen Hyman. This new friend that he found trust and comfort with connected with him with the ceremony of Shabbat. Over the last number of weeks in the Simpkins Centre, Stephen was kind enough to go get Uncle Barrie on Friday nights and on Saturday mornings, and he was excited about the new friendship. Thank you, Stephen. Barrie passed away exactly the way he wanted, unassuming, quickly, and quietly. The many stories that he shared with me and all of us will stay in my memories and certainly with yours. This is a special man. Today we celebrate his life. Rest in peace, Uncle Barrie. I would like anybody please come and say a few words.
We've all known Barrie for a long time. I've known Uncle Barrie all my life. But I really got to know him very recently. when a few of us helped Barrie and Maureen pack up their home of nearly 40 years and move to the Simpkins Center. Over a 12-week period, I spoke with him daily. First about the collections, which you've already heard about, then the stories and the history of all those collections, and then about relationships, marriage, health, friendship, and of course, family. A man who for years I thought was simple turned out to be anything but. His memory was phenomenal. He could tell a great story. He was sensitive and generous, funny and introspective. He was organized and precise. He kept figures in his head and could do quick calculations. He knew exactly where every item he owned was located in his house. And there were many, many items. Had he gone to school a generation later, he would have excelled. But he was so myopic as a kid and likely dyslexic at a time when there was no support in classrooms. Despite his lack of a formal education, he was intuitive and very smart. He was loved by his neighbors and would do anything for them. Brian, you've already talked about that so beautifully. He and Maureen were part of a community where they were both so very highly respected. But my real respect for Uncle Barrie grew as I watched him prepare for an enormous life change. He was losing Maureen to dementia. He was leaving his home and all his valued collections, his neighbors and his friends, his lifestyle and his food choices, his home care workers who he loved, and his freedom. The adjustment for a then 87-year-old man was enormous. But within a couple of months, he had not only survived the change, but he began to find new interests. He made new friends, Stephen Hyman for one. Thank you, Stephen. He started going to the gym. I think he even became a supervisor at the gym. He started going to synagogue services and was anxiously waiting for COVID to be over so he could begin to go out and play. And I think we all know where he loved to play most. I would say he embraced his new reality, and I was so very proud of him. He had special relationships with everybody here today. I think I can speak for us all when I say, Barrie, we will sorely miss you. Rest in peace.
I'm Joel Kettner, Uncle Barrie's favorite nephew. Yeah, that's what he told me, like he told many other nephews. I'm thinking, what would Uncle Barrie want me to say? And the first thing is, he would want me to thank you, Brian. Well, anyone who knows what what kind of support Brian has been to Barrie and Maureen for a very long time would know how intensely he provided that support when the need was most. So he would want me to thank you, as if he hasn't thanked you many times, which I'm sure he has. The second thing he'd want me to do is, he might wonder if he said goodbye properly to his remaining sister. So I think he would want me to do that and tell you how much he loved you, because he told us that many times. The third thing is, he'd want me to talk for a very long time. Because my experience with Uncle Barrie was he had all the time in the world for me and as you said, for pretty much anybody else. I don't remember him ever saying during a phone call, "Sorry, Joel, I gotta go," or "It's time for you to leave now." I don't remember ever having that kind of. So he loved listening to me talk, and so I'm going to do that, but I'm not going to talk as long as he would like me to. When we sent the information about his death out to our family members, the most common comment, which others then agreed to, was that two things. One, he was a character. And the second was, he had a joyful smile and an infectious laughter at any event that they were at. Now, character is an interesting term, which implies imperfections, as we all have. And I'm not going to go into any detail about them, other than to say that the filter that Uncle Barrie got when he was born had some really big holes in it, which meant he was totally honest, totally direct about what he thought, which was a bit, sometimes to a bit of a fault, but people who knew him and loved him could be as generous with him about the things he would say as he was with us. So the last thing I want to say is a medical point of view about his life. He defied all medical prediction and expectation, especially with the organ of his heart. And I now know why. It was made of gold. And he's taking that with him. It's the one thing he's not given up. He was generous with the things he collected. He enjoyed them, but he enjoyed others having them too. So I think that's all he would have wanted me to say. I love you, Uncle Barrie. Rest in peace.
I just wanted to reflect on how much I was really impressed with Uncle Barrie and how emotionally sensitive he really was. He told some just incredible stories, but he told me about taking great joy in tear-jerkers, and I thought that was really interesting for a man of his age. I feel like processing sadness is something that's fairly discouraged, and I was really impressed with how sensitive he was in that way. And he would describe how he was maybe frustrated with you on so many occasions or something, but he would actually he was thinking about it and processing it, and I thought that was really deep, and I was just really impressed with that. And I cannot talk like Uncle Barrie. I really enjoyed listening to a lot of stories, and I actually recorded him speaking. I've got a few hours of him kind of telling stories of family and different things, and if other people want, I can try to send that around or something. But yeah, that really, really impressed me, and I really enjoyed having the time that we spent together and getting to really connect with him. And I also, the fireworks that he used to do, our family really, really enjoyed getting together with them for many years, and he took great joy in that, and probably lots of other things. But
I'm not as tall as Darcy, so I'm just gonna... There we go. As was mentioned, I got to know Barrie for the last several months, and I saw him from time to time in the community. And when he came into the Simpkin Center, I recognized him. It was wonderful. Brian and Faye arranged for asked me if I could just do a favor regarding his television, and we became very fast friends. And he wasn't, I don't know if he would classify himself as a religious person. He loved synagogue, he loved what we could do, and he never missed a service. He missed one. He had fallen asleep, and I didn't wake him, and he got mad at me. So I knew that I had to always do that, and in the last little while, frequently he'd be outside and enjoying himself, and I would know where to find him, and he would be in his chair, not a wheelchair, in a walker. He'd be sitting. Sometimes I'd go outside and I'd say, "Oh, we're gonna have a service," and he'd be racing. We avoided a few crashes, narrowly, but I echo, he was such a character. For those of you watching from home, I don't know if you can see, but the tie that I'm wearing, which I would normally never wear to a funeral, this is Barrie's favorite tie of mine, and he told me several times. He made me actually wear it 2 weeks in a row. It's Humphrey Bogart, and he would share with me his favorite ties. So he had one of the Queen, but his favorite tie said, "Hi, my name is Barrie." And I hope that some of you remember, and apparently it had his address and phone number. I didn't get a chance to see the tie, but I think that speaks to anyone who loves something like that. I want to be friends with. He made our world better. And Barrie, we're going to miss you very much. May the memory of Barrie Wiseman, Baruch ben Chaim V'Malka, endure among us as a blessing. In your own time, O God, when we too are called to enter eternity, may we leave this life secure in the faith that in your light we shall see light. In life and in death we can't go where you are not, and where you are, God, hope endures. Sustained by this assurance, with this assurance we invoke your name, Almighty God. At this time, I will be chanting the El Maleh Rachamim. El Maleh Rachamim, Shochein Bamramim, Amsei Menucha Nechona, Tachas Kanfei Ashlina, Im Kedoshim Mutorim, Gezor Rakia Mazhirim, Et Nishmas Baruch ben Chaim V'Malka Shehalach Olamo Be'al Rachamim Yasdirehu B'Seser Knafav Olamim V'Yitzror HaChaim Et Nishmato Adonai Hu Nachalaso V'Yanuach B'Shalom Al Mishkavo V'Nomar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Barrie Wiseman, Baruch ben Chaim V'Malka, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in your eternal presence, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. Al mikamo yavo b'shalom. May Barrie come to his eternal home in peace. At this time, we are going to say Kaddish. Yiskadal v'yiskadash shemei Rabbah Be'alma divra chirusei v'yamlich malchusei b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beis Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach le'olam v'l'olmei almaya. Yisparach v'yishtabach v'yispoar v'yisromam v'yisnaseh. V'yisadar v'yisaleh v'yisalal shmei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol berchasa v'shirasa tushbechasa v'nechamasa damiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shloma rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Aseh shalom bimromav huya aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. At this time, we are going to be performing what is considered to be a great deed, but it is probably the most difficult one. And we're going to take part in the burial. So you'll see that there are shovels at my side. For those, and no one is obligated to do so, but for those that choose to be part of this mitzvah, you will gather a shovel. Due to COVID protocols, they encourage no more than 3 shovelfuls, and then to put the shovel down, once again, there's hand sanitizer behind us. We don't pass the shovel. This is a Jewish custom. We don't pass the shovel to others. We lay it down so that each of us may come freely to this mitzvah if we so choose.